And welcome back. You're in the Shadow Gallery. We are at week 4 of RETCONVERSATIONS of the DC New 52. Okay. All-Star Western. Justin Gray, Jimmy Palmiotti bringing out Jonah Hex, bringing him to Gotham City in the 1880s. This one kind of had... it kind of reminded me a little bit of the video game Red Dead Redemption in the sense that, okay, here's Jonah Hex. He comes to Gotham City where, he definitely is out of place, considering he's still wearing his Confederate soldier uniform, and he's in the North. His side lost, and he actually, takes up. He actually is kind of partnered up with Amadeus Arkham, which I think is really cool. But just if you've played the game Red Dead Redemption, there's a part where Jesus Christ, I'm gonna feel so stupid. Where our protagonist, John, meets up with that, coked out, coked out anthropologist. It's very much, kind of two different worlds colliding there. God, I feel so bad that I can't remember his last name. But anyway, moving on. This, again, a really dense read. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of meat on the bone of this issue, and that's really cool. I've never really been a huge fan of Jonah Hex, not for any lack of good storytelling or anything like that. She's just one of those characters I never really thought was, too interesting, I guess. So I guess that's why I just never got into it. Although this issue is making me rethink some of those choices, because I have read Jonah Hex in the past, and it's been pretty, pretty darn good. But I'm talking like 70s past. So, but anyway, so this is again a really dense and solid and really good quality first issue. I like the fact that they bring Amadeus Arkham into this. How exactly this is even going to fit into his introduction in Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum. I'd say probably the best thing that Grant Morrison's ever done. But he has done a lot of great stuff. So unfortunately, a lot of it lately has been shit. So anyway. And as far as the action in this book, hey, what good is a Western comic, especially in a first issue of a Western comic? What good is it if it doesn't have a good old-fashioned saloon brawl? That was fun. I liked that sequence a lot. A lot of it had to do with kind of the narration by Arkham, and while he's watching Jonah kind of tear into like a dozen people who were trying to fight him down. Another really cool thing is how this actually ties into Snyder and Higgins's Gates of Gotham, Batman Gates of Gotham, that it goes into the past of Gotham City. Again, that we are dealing with a lot of the same characters. We're dealing with, we're not dealing with them specifically so much, although we do have Mayor Cobblepot. There's no, the Waynes aren't there, the Canes aren't there, but we do have Mayor Cobblepot, which is kind of fun. Like I said, just really dense, really good read. Definitely something I want to keep getting. Moritat, if that's how you even pronounce the name of the artist. Their art is really quite good. So I was happy with that. It just felt really solid all around. It's a really good first issue. Really, really good read. So definitely recommend it. Now to something that I wouldn't recommend. and that is Justice League Dark. You know, I like the idea, the basic idea of a Vertigo inhabited Justice League. That basically, you know, we have, you know, a lot of characters like Madame Xanadu, Shay the Changing Man, the Enchantress, John Constantine, you know, basically members of the Vertigo universe, and then mixed in with Zatanna and you know, and then of course there's appearances by Cyborg and Wonder Woman and Superman, you know, and by Batman as well, you know, who and Deadman, who are, you know, part of this this kind of, you know, whatever, the magical Justice League. You know, like I said, in theory, I like the idea, but I don't really understand why they felt they had to do this. Other than the fact that it seems to kind of, that maybe it's stretching out of, you know, the Brightest Day Aftermath type of thing, which I read the first issue of, thought it was absolute garbage, and didn't want to see any more of it. But they're keeping at it. So the storytelling, again, here's another problem that keeps coming up. It's too scattered. It's too all over the place. It doesn't really have any kind of solid narrative structure, other than, okay, well, this is happening, and then this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening. And, okay, well, here's one person that seems to kind of have their eye on the ball, and that's Zatanna and Batman, so two people, really. But Zatanna won't let Batman get involved, so, you know, it's up to her to seemingly kind of save the day, because Enchantress's powers are going all wacky and crazy and everything like that. So, again, this is just, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, we could, so we did, as opposed to should. So it's just, you know, the art, Michael Janin, that's really good, but it's not enough to save this issue, because I expect more from Peter Milligan. Peter Milligan did, you know, one of my favorite Vertigo series, at least, you know, a new take on an old character, which was when he did Christopher Chance, when he did the Human Target series way back in the late 90s. God, it doesn't really seem like it's that long ago, but it really fucking is. So I expect more out of him. So again, this is just, it's not a good first issue. It's just too confusing, too crazy, too sporadic. There's too many ideas going on here, too many characters that we have to see in order to get an idea of, well, who's going to be part of this, you know, Justice League. You know, so that didn't work for me. Okay. Sorry, Fury of Firestorm. Definitely want to talk about this one. This is a step up for Gail Simone, co-writing this with Ethan Van Sciver, from Batgirl. Batgirl didn't really work for me 100, you know, in as much that I expect from Gail Simone. Felt like, you know, she was pouring on a little bit too much of the clever and not enough of the cool. That's what I felt about Batgirl #1. This has both. There's the quirky and there is the cool going on here. It still seems a little light for her, but I like the fact, and this gets a little bit, not personal, but I like the fact that you have Gail Simone and Ethan Van Sciver writing together on this particular comic. This works to have two very disparate ideologies at work here, because you have Gail, who's, you know, she's very liberal, You know, she's very much into the whole you know, LGBT you know, movement. That's a very important issue for her. She's a, you know, she's a woman, so obviously women's issues are very important to her. And then you have Ethan, who is who's very, very like Tea Party. You know, he's very much into. You know, he's very much on the opposite end of like the political ideology spectrum. So I think that these two different personalities for the two different characters that are involved in this book, that you have Ronnie Raymond and you have Jason Rush involved here, that it actually works to this comic's benefit. So that's really exciting. I was really excited to see something with, you know, something with Gale, and to see how really to see how this book would work out. I was surprised that this was a reboot. I mean, because of everything that had, all the really big stuff that involved Firestorm and Ronnie and Jason with Blackest Night and with Brightest Day. I mean, they were pretty, I mean, certainly in Brightest Day, they were a really big part of that. And to kind of erase all that, I felt a little cheated, because I loved Brightest Day. I thought it was great. And I really loved what they had done with the characters. I mean, this basically, you have, you know, Jason and Ronnie, they're still in high school. One's, you know, Jason's kind of a, you know, kind of a nerd. Ronnie is a jock. Race does enter this conversation, but it deals with it well. You know, where there's one point where Ronnie does ask his mother, you know, why don't we really have any black friends? So this is something that is going to come up, and obviously, you know, these two, you know, instead of, you know, Professor Stein being fused with Ronnie, Professor Stein is actually dead at the beginning of this. But he's, you know, helped to discern what they call the God particle, and it was. You know, but it's, you know, it's a fusion of the same idea that was working in Brightest Day and Blackest Night, with just it being Ronnie and Jason fused together, but they aren't. See, that's the other interesting thing, is that this new idea that they took, that, well, they are both Firestorm. They're both separate entities, but where the Fury part comes in is when they do actually join together. There's a little bit, maybe too much, I don't know about too much, but there was some pretty shocking violence in this story. Maybe a little too sadistic. Now, this is something that I would expect to be very comfortable with, very much at home with Secret Six, but here it feels a little out of place. I felt a little bit like, okay, this is kind of, I'm actually starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable. That was one of, you know, one of the few flaws that I felt that it had. Art's really solid. Again, can't remember, didn't write down the name of the artist. You know, I have faith that this is a comic that will really start to get going. Because flaws aside, you know, it's still Gail Simone, and I'll have faith in her until the day that I die, or the day that she just, everything, you know, unless a lot of things just start sucking coming out of her, and I don't think that that's really going to be possible. Because, like I said, I mean, Batgirl didn't suck by any stretch of the imagination. This didn't suck. It just doesn't live up to my Gail Simone expectations. So, you know, go with that in what you will. So, okay, so we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back with really a couple more titles here, and our book of the week. So stay tuned.